Previously, the players spotted the boss, but it was too late. It swiftly defeated them in just a few seconds. Shen noticed the boss and pondered how he might confront it. However, Gu intervened, warning him that he was too weak and needed to prepare. Sensing their presence, the boss made its escape, but Gu unveiled a map to track it down. Shen decided to test his phantom, discovering it could use his skills, which led him to consider the potential of the evolution skill. Now to this week's chapter. Shen looked at his phantom and snapped his fingers, commanding it to use the evolution skill. Just then, the phantom's armband began to glow gold as it lifted its hand into the air. Shen and Gu could only watch as the phantom activated the skill, the glow growing brighter and brighter. The light stopped gathering as the phantom pointed at Shen. In an instant, the massive golden beam shot straight toward him. The light enveloped Shen completely, and he gazed at his hands, wondering if it had really worked. Just then, the system announced that the phantom had evolved, stating that Shen could now summon two phantoms, each wielding 60% of his attack power and lasting 60 seconds. Shen clenched his fist and smiled with joy, struggling to believe it had actually worked. He even realized that the other phantoms he created could use the evolution skill as well. But just then, Gu looked up at him, confused, and questioned whether he was cheating. She remarked that it was the only explanation after witnessing what he had just done. Shen met her gaze and replied, insisting that he wasn't cheating at all. He continued, saying she shouldn't joke around, as the power he had was far greater than cheating. Then he asked her what she thought his chances of defeating the boss were now. She looked at him and shouted that his chances were now an impressive 20%. As he glanced at her, the phantom's skill duration ended, causing it to start fading away. He smiled, knowing he could improve that percentage. Looking down, he placed his hand on his chest and activated the skill again, the armband glowing golden once more. He commanded it to evolve his 7-star arrow skill. A system notification appeared, showcasing the newly improved skill. It was now called 7-star flaming arrows and could not be evolved further. Each arrow now had a flaming effect, dealing 1% true damage based on the target's maximum health. Each arrow applied a burning effect that lasted 1 to 7 seconds, dealing 50 damage per second. The skill had a cooldown of 40 seconds and a cost of 30 to use. Shen looked disappointed as he read the information, commenting that he had hoped it would shoot more arrows this time, but that wasn't the case. Gu chimed in, saying that the skill was already powerful as it was. She thought to cheer him up, winking as she looked up and lifted her finger, indicating that his chances of winning against the boss had just gone up to 34%. But it didn't matter, as the system interrupted with a notification stating that the phantom cooldown was complete. This caught both of their attention, and Shen remarked on how quickly that happened. He saw it was the perfect time to evolve the other phantom so it could split into two. He used the skill, and two phantoms appeared on the ground. He told them to use the evolution skill, but the system notified him that he couldn't do that yet because the skill was still on cooldown. Shen looked at the information, thinking about what to do next. He began to think, noting that the phantoms couldn't use the skills if the main body had already activated them and would have to wait for the cooldown to finish. As he pondered this, Gu watched him closely while Shen spoke aloud, reflecting on his thoughts. Just then, he realized something important, rubbing his chin in thought. He noted that if he didn't use the skill himself, there would be no cooldown for the phantoms. This meant the phantoms could potentially use the evolution skill, and once a summoned phantom split into two, the new phantom could also use the skill. He continued to think through this new strategy. He realized that this alone wouldn't be enough to defeat the boss and understood he needed something more to increase his chances of winning. As he walked away, he commented to Gu that he needed something to boost his win rate. She questioned where they were going next. The scene shifts underwater, where a large fish is hunting for its next meal. It springs into action, opening its mouth to seize its prey, but suddenly an arrow shoots straight through its head. The fish screams in pain, but it's all over, it's defeated. We now see Shen smiling, pleased that he hit the fish. The system announced that it wasn't a fish but an advanced crocodile, which Shen had just defeated and evolved. The notification stated that the meat restored to 100 health and 20 MP, increased his speed by 30%, and boosted his strength and agility by 10% for 30 seconds. As the defeated crocodile floated to the surface, Gu beamed with happiness, noting that they now had meat to eat. With a new strategy in mind, He wasted no time and activated the phantom skill, flicking his finger with his eyes closed as the phantoms materialized, ready for action. He commanded them to start hunting the crocodiles. Smiling and laughing, he told Gu that she would have her fill of meat very soon. An hour had passed, and Gu looked incredibly happy, burping loudly. She seemed quite satisfied with the meal she had just enjoyed and appeared to be feeling quite full now. She was very pleased with the meal, commenting that it was the first time she had tasted such delicious fish meat. She radiated happiness as the system notified them that Gu liked him a bit more, her affection rising by 30 points. Shen replied that the meat was evolved high-grade fish meat, so it was to be expected. Shen opened his inventory and saw he had 41 advanced carp meats, which restored 10 HP and 5 MP per second for 10 seconds, along with 17 advanced crocodile meats. As he read through the information, he commented that having just 3 phantoms was incredible, and with all the recoverable items, he believed he had enough to take on the boss now. He turned to Gu and questioned her about his chances. She looked up, closing one eye as she began to calculate his chances. After a moment, she commented that it was now around a 40% chance that he could win. After hearing that, Shen got up and dusted off his pants. With his eyes closed, he told Gu it was time to take down the boss and that they should head there now. Gu quickly got up and started to catch up to him, but little did Shen know, a few players were hiding in the shadows behind them. They began to follow Shen and Gu, likely after the boss themselves. Gu led Shen to the boss's location, commenting that they had arrived. Shen thanked her for showing him the way as they both stood in front of a massive dark cave in the mountain. Wasting no time, Shen activated his phantom skill, snapping his fingers. 2 phantoms appeared, and he commanded them to use the death trap skill. As they began to activate the skill, he smiled, realizing that the phantoms lasted 60 seconds and that death trap would come off cooldown in 20 seconds. This meant each phantom could place down 2 traps, resulting in a total of 4 traps per summoning. He started clicking his fingers again, summoning the phantoms to do the same thing repeatedly. They created what he called the Web of Death. As Shen looked at his creation, the many death traps lay before him like a massive spider's web. Gu glanced at the elaborate setup and commented that Shen might have gone a bit overboard. She added that his win rate hadn't increased after setting up all the traps. Meanwhile, Shen was busy opening his inventory, focused on preparing for the battle ahead. He looked at her while eating the fish meat and commented that the boss was just really fast, so he needed to make sure it had nowhere to run. The system notified him that he had recovered 200 MP, adding it to his total. However, Gu, looking unimpressed with his battle plan, pointed out with a concerned expression that his win rate hadn't even reached 50% yet. She questioned how he expected to win with that. Shen smiled confidently, pointing to his head and stating that he would win with his mind, meaning his ability to think on his feet. He then told Gu to hide behind a tree, assuring her she would be safe there, as he had placed a few traps around for protection. He emphasized that she must not come out no matter what happened. She agreed and quickly ran to the tree. With his battle plan in place, he shouted into the massive cave, demanding the White Wolf King to come out and face him now. His words echoed in the cave, but suddenly a bright red eye glowed in the darkness as the boss emerged into the light. The White Wolf King arrived at the entrance, responding to Shen's call for battle, its gaze fixed on him with lethal intent, ready to strike. Shen looked up and realized the true size of the boss, feeling as small as a dog compared to a bear. Yet, he remained confident, smiling as he thought to himself that once the boss came out and moved too close, it would fall right into his massive trap. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and like. It really helps me out.